Hey, what is up guys, this is Corb, and let's cover a whole bunch more champs that are just underrated as hell in Raid, starting with Mr. Good Old Roanus. So Roanus, based on my research, is one of those champs that was released with just kind of crappy modifiers, low damage, lower than you'd expect for a legendary, but not just that, but even his utility was kind of crappy as well, and it earned him some super bad scores that he is slowly recovering from. To this day, man, quick kit breakdown: attacks one enemy with the A1 with a 100% chance of stealing a random buff from the target, with also an 80% chance of placing a block buffs debuff for one turn if the target then has no active buffs. That obviously explains the good old magic keep rating. On the A2, he has a triple hitter: attack one enemy 3 times, will ignore increased defense buffs, shield buffs, and block damage buffs, as well as half of the target's defense. This son of a gun kinda hits like a truck. Pretty damn good. And I believe the skill was released with pretty crappy modifiers when it was first released, and it was increased by like, damage was buffed by like 60% or something stupid, just to make it much more comparable to other legendary attack champions in terms of output. And the A3, dude, this thing released like a piece of crap. Attacks all enemies. It used to be a 50% base chance of inflicting a stun debuff for one turn. That was buffed up, of course, to a 75%, meaning that when the skill is fully bugged up, you then get that juicy 100% stun debuff chance. And I think even the damage of this A3 was also buffed just a little bit as well. It will also decrease each target's turn meter by 50% if the stun debuff is not placed. So right away, this A3, very good indeed into the likes of Spider, just mass control for all of the Spiderlings, and a big chunk of turn meter decrease for the Spider boss itself. Very nice. Also solid into Dark Fae for the same reason as well, where turn meter control is going to be very important. You're attacking quite quickly with Roanus against the mirror images, and you can just stun them all right away and just get instant control over the Dark Fae encounter. Just all in all, quite nice. It is a little bit damaged by the fact that it's a full turn cooldown. And so for that reason, is Roanus going to be outperformed by other legendaries in the game? Yes, he will, but you know what? If you pull him at a decent point in the game and max him out with the intent of using him in these niche cases, then, I mean, he's a hell of a lot better than, for example, a 3.5 in Spider's Den, you know? I'm also a little bit sad that the reviews don't show scores for Doom Tower bosses. Seems like it's really something that Plarium should add. But yeah, TLDR, is Roanus the best legendary in the game that's going to absolutely revolutionize your account? Well, I don't know, probably not most of the time, but he's also not as bad as the reviews might suggest. Let's get on to a juicy one now, man. I don't know what was done to the humble lizard man slug known as Vegamkar. Even his name's a little bit awkward. But dude, his ratings suck. His ratings suck. I think he was just released as just a total piece of crap. That's really it. I don't know the exact details of this, but his kit today, after the buffs, whatever they were, is certainly not worthy of a rating this crappy. Good old Vegamkar, man. Let's check out his kit. It's an attack on the A1, a single hitter attack on the A1 with a 45% chance of placing stun debuff for one turn. Chance increases by 15% for each buff on the target. Not bad. I mean, not great, not terrible. Pretty decent stun chance, to be honest, for an A1 skill. The A2, remove all provoke debuffs and one random debuff from all allies. Place a strong increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns, and also place a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 20% of Vegamkar's max health. Now, dude, if you want one champ to max out so that you basically don't have to worry about one of your team slots in Scarab Lord ever again, Vegamkar might just be it, okay? That son of a gun is spamming the hell out of provokes. There's obviously other ways that you can play around that, but Vegamkar is a damn good one, right? Peeling off those provokes off of your whole team, massive shield buffs on your whole team as well, so just minimizing the amount of times that the Scarab Lord is actually going to be counter-attacking in, because of course, if you attack him with a shield, the son of a gun doesn't counter-attack you back. Not just that, man, on the passive, because you might say, oh well, what if Vegamkar gets provoked, man? Then he can't use his cleanse on the A2, right? The passive, immune to provoke debuffs. Fill this champion's turn meter by 20% each time an enemy attempts to place a provoke debuff on this champ. So yeah, anytime you're in a situation where the Scarab Lord is counterattacking like crazy, Vegamkar's turn meter is going to fill like crazy in response, thus allowing him to spam the hell out of his 3-turn cooldown, mass, cleanse, shield buffs. Yeah, just good stuff. I'm pretty sure he's decent into other areas of the game as well. Not great, not terrible into most normal mode styles of content. And on the A3, it is an attack all enemies with a fully buffed. It's actually a 100% chance of removing 2 random buffs from each enemy. Also has a 100% chance of placing a heal reduction debuff and decrease defense debuff for 2 turns as well. So all in all, just a very, very good kind of utility support, right? A lot of buff peel against enemies, a lot of debuff removal from your allies. And yeah, just another champ that could really, really do with Plarium. I don't know, resetting the goddamn ratings on champs that they decide to buff after their release, you know? It's just... I don't understand why this isn't a thing and why a champ has to be lumbered with horrible, horrible reviews that drag down their review score for years to come. They never fully recover. They never actually fully recover up to where the ratings should be in-game. And dude, imagine you're a brand new player. You started playing Raid 2 weeks ago. You pull this son of a gun. And you just think to yourself, my god, I might as well start a new account. This guy's so terrible. And hey man, speaking of new players, if you are looking to start off a new raid account, for example a new free-to-play adventure, then make sure to do so by clicking on the promo link down below at the top of the video description to kickstart your new account with the happy epic attack champion known as Juliana. You'll grab Juliana as well as a whole bunch of starting freebies, and it is the best possible way to kickstart your new Raid Shadow Legends adventure. Next up on the underrated champs list, we've got a little bit of a weird one, man, known as Gerhard the Stone of the Bannerlords faction, and this guy is deceptively solid into Ice Golem's peak, which you would not assume by his reviews, of a 3.9 score. So what has Gerhard got going on for him? Well, on the A1, he's got himself an attack 1 enemy with a small chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. That stun chance increases to 50% bucked if the target has more than 75% turn meter. And so hey man, some pretty decent control. On the A2, this thing surprisingly slaps. Its multipliers are solid. It hits hard, okay? Place a 30% increased crit rate buff and 30% increased crit damage buff on this champ for 2 turns, then attack 1 enemy. So he buffs before he swings in. That's always lovely to have on any kind of attack nuker. And it means you can build him with, of course, 70% crit rate, and he will take care of the rest. It will also ignore a portion of the target's defense, ignoring 50% of the target's defense instead if the target is under an increased defense buff. So why is Gerhard so solid into Ice Golem? Well, not only because he hits hard with the A2, not only because he can help you control the adds and deny them from ever getting a turn with his A1 by placing the stun debuff, but he's also, most importantly, immune to all hard crowd control skills. Fear, True Fear, Freeze, which is obviously the most important by a lot in Ice Golem, Provoke, Sleep, Stun, Petrification debuffs. And so yeah, is Gerhard the Stone the kind of guy that you might want to max out in order to take on Ice Golem? Is he the kind of guy that you should absolutely prioritize on your account? Is he a bit too niche? Probably, but he's also probably not a 3.9. You're probably more looking at, like, I don't know, a 4.6, 4.7 or something for Ice Golem for this guy if the ratings were being a bit more realistic. Now is a 4.6 in Ice Golem, does that make him worth maxing out? If you're, for example, a new player, you pull yourself a Gerhard, I mean, I don't know. Probably not. But still, it's fun to cover the slightly more obscure champs in videos like this from time to time. Now, speaking of obscure champs, this is not an obscure champ. The next guy we're gonna take a quick peek at has got to be Yakal, dude. I recently covered this guy in a top 10 like best free champs in Raid video, and I was kind of surprised at his ratings and how kind of average and middling they are. In fact, I consider these like below average ratings for the average legendary, given that Faction Wars almost doesn't count. Neither does Minotaur's Labyrinth, really. So what are Yakal's uses? Maybe the issue is that by the time you get him, you've kind of got better options than the Yakal in certain areas of the game, but honestly, he's very, very solid into basically all normal mode content. He's actually pretty damn good indeed into normal Spider for a couple of reasons. Just skipping over the A1, going straight to the A2. Attack 1 enemy has a 100% chance of placing decreased speed debuff for 3 turns. Dude, and a chance of placing freeze debuff for 1 turn. Dude, against Spider, decreased speed is obviously very, very important. Also steals 100% of the target's turn meter and places a speed buff on Yakal for 3 turns. Man, 100% turn meter steal? You can't tell me that ain't good against Spider, especially when you couple that with the A3, attack all enemies, 100% chance on, never mind, 75% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. This chance increases to blah blah blah. It can only be bucked down to a 4-turn cooldown, but you're stealing 10 meter on the A2, and so your 10 will get back around to the A3 maybe a bit sooner than you might think. So that's control for the Spiderlings, decreased speed, and 10 meter steal against the Spider boss. What is his Spider rating? 3.9. Dude! Like, I know he's not that great into hard mode Spider, but goddamn, 3.9, really? Seems a little low to me. And even the 4.2 for Fire Knight's Castle. Fair enough. Normal Fire Knight, not the best champ in the world. Hard mode Fire Knight, you require champs with not just multi-hitters, but also multi-hitters that have a chance to freeze. That's the only way, of course, to reduce his turn meter, is freeze effects. Attack one enemy 2 times on the A1, each hit with a 50% chance of placing that freeze debuff. Dude, I don't know, man. Like, this champ could be the first piece in a newer player's hard mode Fire Knight team. You know, you're just getting into hard mode Fire Knight. Your Cal could be the piece that gets that team going for the first time, you know? It could actually unlock that piece of content for you. I mean, goddamn. I'm just looking at Hell Hades right now. He's got your Cal as 4.5 stars in hard mode Fire Knight, man. I don't know if I'd go that far, personally. I mean, it's only a double hitter, right? But hey, I don't know, man. What do you guys think of good old Yakal? Is he a little bit underrated? I feel like he might well be, particularly, like I said, in Spider and in the Fire Knight ratings. Next up, I'm fit to cover a champ that I've actually leveled up to 50 and is pending, taking him up to 60. And you know what? He's impressed me quite a bit. It's going to be good old Gruckus. He of the small head. He who skips head day, man. And you know what, man? Looking at his ratings, it's not that his ratings are that bad. They're actually quite good. I feel like the people who do level Gruckus and get to use him review him quite positively. It's just that he has such few reviews, man. Like 400 reviews? That's like nothing. He's not a widely used epic at all, man. So, hey, don't let the tiny pinhead fool you, man. Gruckus is actually quite decent. Let's check out the kit, man. On the A1, it's a triple hitter, with each hit having a chance of placing Leech debuff for 2 turns. Helps to unlock normal mode Fire Knight, at least by just breaking the shield down. But what else does he bring to Fire Knight? On the A2, attacks one enemy, has a fully booked, that's a 100% chance of placing a strong decrease speed debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 80% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 30%. Again, fully booked. So the main drawback to this, of course, is that the turn meter decrease isn't completely reliable, but even this is supplemented by the fact that, again, into Fire Knight with the A3, it's an attack all enemies with a 100% chance of placing decreased attack debuff and 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. So really, all 3 of his skills have some kind of utility into Fire Knight. Actually works pretty decent into Dark Fate as well. Decreased speed, 10 meter reduction, very, very important into Dark Fate too. And yeah, while old Gruckus might become a little bit more niche and eventually, you know, will be replaced by better options as your account sort of develops and matures into more niche areas of content, I think he deserves a special shout out. Not just because he's sort of under-reviewed and underused, but because he's also quite solid if you pull him earlier on in your account as well, right? A triple hitter with a chance of placing Leech is just kind of good everywhere. Same thing, especially with the A3 as well. An attack all, strong version of decreased speed, even the heal reduction to help you out in potion keeps, which I've been using old Gruckus in potion keeps ever since I pulled him, right? The spirit keep. So even for the earlier stage of player, I feel like Gruckus is just a good one to have ticking. Next up with another kind of niche champ that I guess is kind of over. Dude, I had no idea what this guy did. I didn't even know this champ existed. He is so underused until I started to do some homework for this video series. It's good old Grunge Killjoy, man. Epic support champ of the Ogren Tribes faction, a bomb-based champ who kind of grows exponentially in power depending on how many other bomb-based champions you have on the team, man. Quick kit breakdown. On the A1, it's an attack 1 enemy with a 60% chance of placing a block debuffs buff for 1 turn fully booked. Does require a hell of a lot of books though to get down to that 10%. God damn. On the A2, attack all enemies with a 70% chance of placing a bomb debuff that detonates after 1 turn. And you combine all of the bombs that he is spamming out with this A2 with any other bomb champion to take advantage of this nutty passive. Fill the turn meters of all allies by 10% whenever a bomb debuff detonates on an enemy. And so, I don't know, man. Is that good? What are his reviews like? Yeah, the reviews are all just like very kind of, like below average-ish, I suppose. But I don't know, dude. If you combine good old Grunch with something like a Nishak, who we covered in a recent video as well, who on his A3 attack all enemies, 100% chance of placing 2 bomb debuffs on each target for 2 turns, then grants an extra turn. Like, I don't know, man. That's kind of crazy as hell, you know? Back over on Grunch's A3 is, of course, not to be slept on as well. Remove all debuffs from all allies, then place a continuous heal buff for 1 turn on each ally for every debuff that was removed from them. Just pretty solid utility overall. This guy is, of course, a support champ, first and foremost. And I don't know. Do you guys think he's underrated? If you have ever built Grunge Killjoy and give him a test up at max, I would love to hear about that, to be honest. But hey, if you're not going to talk about good old Grunge in a video like this, then where the hell are you going to talk about him, to be honest? So, alright, onto the Knights Revenant faction, where we are looking for Golden Reaper. So I think the biggest part about Golden Reaper that's somewhat slept on is the base speed stat. 111 on base speed for epic support champ is kind of mental, and it is key that she gets to swing in first. Also, especially in the likes of Arena, with the A3, place a strong increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns and boost their 10 meter by 20% on a 3-turn cooldown. Only requires 1 buck, which is lovely. Not just that, but working in reverse order a little bit, on the A2 it's an attack all enemies with a 50% chance of placing a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns, and if the decreased attack debuff is not placed, then you instead decrease the 10 meter of each target by 20%. And on the A1, attack 1 enemy with a fully bugged 50% chance of decreasing the cooldown of one of a random ally's skills by 1 turn, and the value of this cannot be underestimated as well. All in all, just a very, very solid progression champ. If you pull a Golden Reaper early in particular, right, as a newer player, you pull this. This can be one of your arena staples for a long, long time to come until you pull better 10 meter control options. Not just that, but she does pretty damn good into most normal mode content as well, especially Clan Boss, where she's pretty okay, right? I mean, she brings the somewhat unreliable, I guess you can fully buck up this to get a 75% chance of strong version of decreased attack. Not bad against Clan Boss. Obviously the A1 in longer fights, this is going to get more and more value to also help you out. Just getting started into Clan Boss and increased speed, 10 meter fill, is useful everywhere, you know? So she's just a decent catch-all epic. Progression epic, that is. I should just make that clear. And finally, we gotta shine a light once again on Mr. Husker Rule. I feel like people who use him know how good he is, but just so few people seem to actually use Husker Rule. His review count is very, very low, sub 400. And this guy's a stun god. If you're struggling in Arena, this guy might be your answer to help you land that key control. Also very, very good, of course, for all wave-based content, because he just has so many stuns in the kit, right? 40% chance to land a stun on the A1. He's got to attack all enemies with it. Look how few bucks he requires. 3 epic tomes that roll correctly. You've got yourself a 3-turn cooldown, 75% chance attack all enemies, like chance to stun. That's crazy as hell. Also decreases the 10 meters of enemies already under stun debuffs by 15%. On the A3, he removes all stun debuffs from all allies, then places a strong increased defense and increase resistance buff on all allies for 2 turns, so he's even bringing a bit of additional utility for when his big AoE stunner is on cooldown. And on the passive, he's immune to stuns himself, which is just tight. Increases the damage inflicted by all allies by 15% when attacking enemies under stuns, which you believe there's going to be plenty of those with this Giga Chad on your team. That's Husker Rule, man. I love champs like this that are they just have one job, they have one niche, and they're really, really damn good at it. Husker Rule, he just wants to hit people with that goddamn club. Look at that thing. Got some ivory action going. I hope it wasn't part of some kind of black market exchange. Husker Rule's better than that, man. He wouldn't do such a thing. Hey, that's going to wrap up today's list, man. Now, before you go, if you haven't already, make sure to go ahead and input the happy little promo code GameLeap as my thanks to you for sticking around until the end of the video. And if you've already used this code, then make sure to share it with your clan as well, man. What are you doing? Help your bros out. Gives them a free energy refill, 10 free experience brews, and 100,000 silver. As always, if you're looking to start off a new raid account, then make sure to do so by clicking on the promo link down below at the top of the video description box, where you'll be starting off your new account with a free epic champion and a whole boatload of starting freebies. So hey, there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If I missed any super underrated champs in this video game that you feel should have appeared by now in a series like this one, make sure to pop them down below in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. For now, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we're going to catch all of y'all just a tad bit later, man.